When it goes through HMRC books, it's classified as a farm, but it has been an active, productive farm for years. And so they say 73% aren't affected, but they are not productive farms anymore. The productive farms will nearly all be affected, and I think we need to keep making that message very clear.
Derek represents so many of the faces that I see out here today. A generational farmer, a farmer that Kibble's had the pleasure of dealing with generations of that family, a progressive, hard-working dairy farmer, and that's just the spirit of this meeting here today. And from one of those farmers to another, Tim Dennis is in our ring down below. Tim, would you just say a few words? I follow you a little bit on Facebook, so I know you've got some good views. You've got the next generation in your arms. Is that Arthur with you today? That's Arthur. And Tim is a prime example of a generational farmer. Tim.
Well, I think something that mustn't be lost sight of is the subsidiary business that will be affected by this, from the apprentices that are being taken on and being laid off through the government's rise in national insurance and contributions for employers. There's a lot already been touched on with the passing on of land, but this socialist government's sort of ruthless actions are very far-reaching.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
We'll head up the steps, to the lady on the step with the orange badge on. She's had a hand up all morning. Is the mic heading up there, up the steps on the left-hand side, please? I think that is where mic heading. It's coming towards. Thank you. Is the button turned on? Just slide the button on.
Hello, oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. My name's Teresa Tinsley, and I'm a Torridge District Councillor as well. One different political action is I was new, and I was surrounded by the farming community there. The cows going up and down twice a day to be milked, and sometimes coming into our garden. The sheep coughing in the night when I had the summer evenings, when I had the window open. The cream teas, the harvest suppers. I could go on. It's part of our heritage, and I think that since then, since I've grown up, then farmers have suffered so badly. It's been one thing after another, and it's all been agricultural policies which have not done you any good at all. You've been pulled from one way to another. Now we've had Brexit, we've had COVID, we've had foot and mouth, we've got climate change, the weather, and now this. I think it's just absolutely heartbreaking. And my colleague Cheryl Cockin has gone to London, and she'll be seeing Geoffrey Cox today, and I know that she's personally been affected by this, or will be affected by this. She's a farmer in Petroxstowe, and she's been at the forefront of making the case that there are many more farmers affected the same. But what I don't understand, if it's only what are they doing it? Why are they doing it if there's only so few farmers? So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Lose the mic. Roland Natskiller, if we can, right in the centre. Roland is a representative of FCN. If the mic can be got, I don't know if Ryan's mic just inside the ring in the centre, Ryan. You come around the back if you can. Sorry. Roland is our FCN representative in the area does a lot of work. I would also point out, I've been asked by our chaplaincy team, who stood at the back behind us, that they are here every Wednesday. If any of you need to speak and take some counsel, not in a professional sense, but on a mind of well sense, do come and speak to our chaplaincy or FCN. But Roland, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Roland Nance Kibble. I'm the Rural Support Officer for Community Network. I've been doing it for 18 months, and I'm continually supporting farmers that are going through a difficult spell. The evidence of today shows us how strong we are. We need to be sending letters to MPs telling them how strong we are, how much we will stick at it. Because we love the job that we do, and it's in us, and we want to present it to the next generation. So please, I encourage you to
This is
Holsworthy,
and this is pretty much the heartland of the farming community in Devon.
500-acre farm to run, and I love doing it. And I've done it for 100 hours a week. I loved every minute of it.
Quite a gathering, eh?
Pass it on to my next generation. But because I worked too hard, I lost my marriage, and then I lost my mother, and I took a downward trip in my mental health. And I was a rugby player, a footballer, and I never thought I would get myself in a bad place, but I'm afraid you do, however strong you think you are. So I please encourage anybody, don't get yourself in a bad place. Please communicate with somebody. We are a listening ear. We want to help you. We will travel with you through the dark places, but we will come through and come out, because I find peace and happiness now, and that's always what that's all we really want.
It's the big supermarkets, isn't it?
For that reason, FCN were putting on Farmwell events, and I don't know if I want this number of people tomorrow, but there is a Farmwell event tomorrow. As soon as David Kibble finishes selling the store cattle, Pam Johns and Lucy Poole from Code Solicitors are standing in the rostrum and talking about succession, inheritance tax and tax planning. So I please encourage you to come tomorrow. It'd be great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Roland. It's great to get some action happening tonight. I think writing to your MP, if we all go back and make that a priority this afternoon, to all write to our MP, that's a really good step, and it's great to have FCN and the chaplaincy team here to support farmers. I believe I've got Raymond Gilbert on my right hand side looking for the mic. If the mic can head this way, Roland, if you don't mind. If there's anybody else on the top whilst we're passing the mic, if you want to speak, please raise your hand. This way, if you could, Aubrey, please. Thank you, Aubrey. Yeah. Raymond Gilbert's a dairy farmer near Launceston in Cornwall.
My question to the government is, every £1 million our farmers worth in assets, we will have to pay £200,000 in tax. Where do they think that money's coming from? I want to know how many farmers are actually making huge profits to go out and borrow this money to cover it. Because that's the truth of it. If you've got a £3 million farm, you've got to borrow £400,000 to pay the taxman. And the money is not in the industry. And this country is going to starve because they do not realise where food comes from. It comes from Tesco's, it comes from Asda. I went to Plymouth 2 years ago, and there was a chap from Liverpool. And he looked at me and said, "Why are you drinking Coke?" I said, "I got milk in the morning." "Well, don't be silly, it comes off Tesco's shelves." That's the problem. We need to go back to schools, teach kids where food comes from, and then they'll understand what it's about. That's the truth of it.
I think we want to take some positive messages. We've heard from Alan Pomeroy say, take professional advice to try and help yourself in the best position. Roland's advice was fantastic. If there's anybody else that would like to share their thoughts with us, please go on. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all for coming. It was only a few years ago we had furlough, and COVID. Now, very few in this room would have paid furlough. Yeah? Get here? And you were all essential workers, you know, those 2 years ago. And yet now, you're paying the tax to clear the debt. I haven't heard this Labour government mention where the furlough, where our tax debt has come from. It was probably furlough. People not working, people sat at home in their own rooms, not people working 365 days a year, like yourselves.
Thank you, sir. Oh, we got one to the left, a lady to our left-hand side on the outside, at the bottom of the steps. If the mic can be passed through.
Thank you, we're family farming. I've got a daughter who lives in London and her partner's parents have never been on a farm before they came down. People do not understand what we do. We have to engage with the public and we have to explain what's going on. We have to explain that we look after the land. The land looks like it does because of us. We have to explain that we look after our soil because that's what we grow our crops on. And we have to explain that we look after nature because that's as important to us as it is to anyone else. A lot of people who live in cities think we just pollute the land, put mud on the roads, put chemicals into the rivers and kill wildlife. We have to make a difference and we have to talk to them. We have to engage with the general public. Thank you.
Just looking around, I do notice we've got a lot of allied trade supporters, people that need farmers in order to have businesses themselves, and I think the government underestimate that we need the farmers, and the economic compound effect of a farmer is enormous on the people that live on the back of that farmer. I don't know if anybody from the allied industries here. I can see tractor dealers, feed merchants, gentleman right at the very top at the back has put his hand up to speak.
Yeah, so I'm not a farmer, but my company relies on dairy farmers. My company supports 16 families. When I started out my career 35 years ago, I believe in the West Country there were around about 8,500 dairy farmers. Now there's barely 8,500 dairy farmers across the whole of the UK. If dairy farmers, there's a particular farmer that I directly deal with, was an animal, they would be classed as an endangered species. And we would all run around raising money and supporting them and protecting them. But because they're farmers, they're left to be exposed to this ridiculous tax that my company, if this carries on, is going to be affected. I want to be able to support, and I see a number of other people that are directly supporting farmers, be that tractor dealers, be that milking machine engineers, be that refrigeration engineers. We need farmers, and farmers need us. It has to work together, and farmers have more power than any political MP, any person, Prime Minister, that you can talk. We need unity, and it's something that has been massively missing, and we need to come together and work together to beat this ridiculous tax.
One of the, this may have been covered earlier, but one of the statistics I don't hear the media talking about or the government talking about is when they talk about 500 or 600 farmers are going to be affected by this, I think it's every year, and that's not very many, and therefore this is okay. What they're not thinking about is the extended families of every single one of those farmers, which some of them cover 4 generations and every generation in the future, and, as we've just heard, all the allied trades and other parts of the industry that rely on that family farm. So the numbers need to be corrected and include all of those other people that are involved, not just the single farmer who happens to die.
Thank you, good point. The multiplier effect of the economy of farms are enormous in this area. Every farm generates so much economic activity beyond just what they're doing themselves, and it's vitally important. I'm aware we've been here a little while, and I know there's some teas and coffees back in the canteen. Is there anybody else that wants to make a particular point? There's a gentleman right in the far corner, there's plenty of hands going up. There's a gentleman in the very far corner whose hand was up first.
Well, I'm Arthur Devon. I have a small farm in London. First of all, myself and my colleague had our farms taken at the point of a gun in Rhodesia. I've been in this country and I studied in this country farm management. The problem is the value of land doesn't relate to its productive value unless you keep it in the family for generations. And that's how you justify it. And in 1947, they passed an act that wanted the farmers to produce food. And again in 1957. Now, looking at the world and the way the planet is being messed up, the children and grandchildren, people like you, are going to be the real value, because we're going to have to feed ourselves, because nobody else will.
There's a hand up here, head the mic to the centre if we can, would be great. Thank you, somewhere.
Well done to everybody that's taken time out of their day to come and represent the farming industry. On the back of what that last gentleman has said, perhaps it's time to change this climate emergency with a food security emergency.
Yeah, she has got a mic for those that shouted, but yeah, change from the just repeat those words in the mic again for us, they're good words.
Change the climate security with a food security. That's where, along with water, that is where we can survive and make a difference.
Thank you. Thank you. And the gentleman right at the very back, you know, mic comes on right to the very back.
Mark, one here. Yeah, Glenn Mealy just wanted to say that what a fantastic turnout and show of camaraderie here today. I'm sorry. The government are saying that it's going to affect 500 farmers. Well, how many are here? There's 300 more here that I've had a bit of a count on. So we're all affected in the rural communities across our country. And we've got to thank Farm Crisis Network for being there, Addington Fund and people like that, because do not despair. Don't get yourselves in a state of despair at this point. I came here wondering what was going to happen today, how it was going to proceed. I thought maybe we'd hear a little bit more about how the tax situation was going to affect us, because I think at the moment some of us are not quite in a position to know how we're affected by this tax yet. Some have already been to accountants and had a sit down and had a chat about it, but we haven't all quite grasped it yet, and some will be affected far more worse than others. But we just need to take stock of it and then follow it through.
Speak close to the mic.
We've got a contingent up in London who are doing a great job. They told us not to all go in case we had problems with the far right logging onto the protest and us getting in trouble. We don't want to have a bad name in the public. We've just got to be very careful. I was out last night and there was a guy next to me with a a British gas fitter. And I was talking to him, said I was a farmer. He said, "Oh, you farmers," he said, "you're in a bad way with this tax thing. You've got to do something about it. This government is useless." He was really against the government. He said, "We've got to rely on you farmers to do something about it." And I thought, what a great show of support that was. I know it's not right across the board, and we've got to win this support of the country. But we can do if we do it right. Thank you.
Let's start here, Mikey.
Hello. Market, I think, my local markets, Nansen, the Tavistock, separate straight demise. My name is